ought to be a gunslinger, drinking all day, shooting all night, and having a woman in every town. I am the Game Collector, and this is Second Opinion Games, and today we look at cowboys in video games.
Second Opinion Games.
We'll start things off with a little Gun.Smoke. It's nothing like Gunsmoke at all, so we don't have to worry about those legal fees. And you better get the NES Advantage controller ready because you're gonna need those turbo buttons because this is more of a horizontal shoot 'em up than anything else. Sure, it might look like a cowboy game, but holy crap is it ever hard, and it feels like you're flying through it, especially when you find your horse call in a freaking barrel. You could also pick up shotguns as well as you could buy them from the townsfolk that happens to be in the way of all the gun firing. You gotta give it up for them because they're chasing that almighty dollar hard. And so are you. That's why you have to collect the wanted poster to then bring the no good varmints to justice in an epic boss battle at the end of each stage. Sometimes there'll even be a knife throwing guy here, and I wonder why the freaking knives are so darn effective because they just hover around and come right back. Man, this is pretty tough. So you're gonna need those smart bombs. Yes, smart bombs and shotguns, even though they're not infinite. So just be careful with that. Holy cow, is this ever an epic shoot 'em up with a terrific cowboy theme. That brings us to Cowboy Kid. This is very similar to Legend of the Mystical Ninja on the Super Nintendo, where you bring a knife to a gunfight. Yeah, everyone in this town seems to really want you dead, or they want your money. So if you get set forth on a mission to bring down a varmint to justice, well, chances are you're just going to be playing minigames for freaking hours, because that seems to be more fun than completing the missions in this game. Yeah, I really like the shooting stages probably the most. I always have a pretty good time with these, but you could always play some cards and of course run around town trying to get more money in order to play more freaking mini games. Man, why do they have to make these mini games so good? Now it's time to jump forward a little bit to Sunset Riders. In the arcade, it was terrific, and the Super Nintendo did a fairly good job of emulating that arcade experience. But, you know what? I really like the Sega Genesis version just a little bit more. Even if most of the voice sampling is totally gone, you have more stages here, and the fact that it doesn't try to stay so true to the arcade experience makes this its very own game. And holy crap, if you guys thought Contra was hard, well then this is extreme Contra, because everyone is trying to shoot at you, and your character is huge and not nearly as maneuverable. But that doesn't mean he's not maneuverable at all. You have an awesome slide attack, you could do a super high jump onto ledges, and you could even jump on the back of cattle as you gun down freaking people. Holy cow, this is awesome. And what makes it even more awesome is how much this guy gets to girls. Boy, it seems like every house in this town he has a different lady, and at the end of every freaking stage he has another lady. You'll also be shooting up tons of bandits and even some Native Americans. Except for the boss at the end of this stage, you won't kill him because there's a hot chick there to save his life. I presume that there's a little quid pro quo there for saving your brother's life, because this guy is a freaking horn dog, and I can't blame him. Let's jump ahead a little bit to Red Dead Revolver on the original Xbox. This was Rockstar's first attempt at making a Western, and boy did they ever flub this one. It's a third-person shooter where you run around trying to complete missions and shoot up nearly every single person. The towns aren't really that bad, but they just act as a mild hub in order to get to the next level. Normally, I love myself a good train level, and this one has probably the most boring train level I think I've ever played. You just run forward, get hit a ton of times like a giant bullet sponge, and continuously put people down. Reloading also feels kind of awkward in this game, and nothing feels quite right. It's full of glitches and everything else, and it makes me wonder why they just didn't permanently shelve the Red Dead series from here on out. You know what? I'd much rather be playing Troy Aikman football on the Atari Jaguar. That's a real cowboy there. Of course, he can't actually win because there's no option here to pay off Jim Kelly to throw the Super Bowl twice. So, yeah, I'm still just a little bit salty about that. I kind of lost some money in that whole transaction thing. And, yeah, freaking Jim Kelly and freaking Troy Aikman football on the Jaguar. If you want a much better cowboy experience, I recommend checking out Dead Man's Hand by Atari. Not only did it come with really shiny Atari stickers, but it also has an interesting mechanic here built in, and that's the whole card system. If you get a winning hand, well then chances are your weapons will be more powerful and there'll be plenty of ammunition throughout the stage. The higher the difficulty, the less chance of getting that winning hand. And it's a first-person shooter that has something that not many other games had. Your lead character is a Hispanic person that's out for justice because his own gang turned against him. And I'm telling you what, this guy is a freaking monster. He destroys everyone in this game, and you root for him every step of the way. He is completely cool, and the shots all feel satisfying. You even try and keep your combo bonus going as long as possible, and making you just wish there was more people to shoot, making you feel like even more of a badass. Yes, if I sound excited about this game, it's because it is excitement all the way through, and it is a terrific time. I cannot recommend this one enough, and it's also really cheap. If you want a little more long-lasting experience, I recommend checking out Gun. Now, the best version is probably on the Xbox 360, but this is the GameCube version here. And believe it or not, it's completely playable despite being a third-person action experience. That means that you have to use both analog sticks here, too. Then the controls aren't too wonky, believe it or not. I thought maybe not having all of the buttons would make it completely unplayable, but I thought I would give it a try, and you know what? It plays pretty good. Loading times also seem to be a tad bit quicker on the GameCube version, but they do censor a little bit in the cutscenes, so just forget about that and jump into the awesome gameplay. The voice acting is top-notch too, done by Thomas Jane playing your lead character. He's one of the coolest guys freaking in Hollywood, and even though now he hasn't picked up quite so much work, man, this is an awesome experience. It's basically Red Dead Redemption before Red Dead Redemption with a somewhat more likable character, because this is a good guy. There's also hoes like freaking everywhere, and sometimes I can even use them as human shields. Wait, I thought I was supposed to be the good guy here. Also, Native Americans, shoot them dead and scalp them and sell their scalps for money. Yeah, that's pretty darn cool too. There's tons of different weapons and a weapon wheel and throwing freaking dynamite back at people. Man, this is super cool, and I highly recommend that everyone try this. It's hard to get a main character that's any cooler than this guy, but maybe, just maybe, if you're going to have a shot at it, you should turn to Dark Watch. Here is a vampire cowboy with awesome weaponry that also doubles as melee weapons. You even have a freaking crossbow with explosive arrows, tons of bone guys trying to hack at you, and man, is this cool. There's also different paths that you could choose to go down. You could choose to kill the innocent people or drain their blood. If it's a girl, I always drain their blood because, hey, it's about time that I suck them dry for a change. And if it's a guy, well, then I'm gonna save their life. But most of the time, they're women, so I end up completely evil by the end of the game and super overpowered. You know, you don't see too many horror first-person shooters, and Capcom really knew their stuff around this time. My biggest complaint with the game is that they shut down the online servers, so if you want to play it multiplayer, you gotta have your friends over for a little 4-player split-screen action, and it actually works out pretty good because the weapons are actually quite balanced here, despite how freaking cool every single one of them is. If any of the games on this list needs remade, it's gotta be this one. But if that was just too realistic for you, then check out Oddworld Stranger's Wrath. This is set in the same world as Abe's Oddworld, but with a much cooler character. He's kind of a dog man with a crossbow with live ammo. And I mean freaking live ammo. You have to hunt these things down, other than this one electrical bug that seems to have infinite shot. Now, you don't fire them off left and right. You have to wait for it to charge up in order to freaking freeze your guys in the tracks. And one of the more interesting things about this game is that it's both first and a third-person shooter. It's also both action and stealth action, so that's kind of cool. With a freaking huge hub world in a town that feels completely natural, hunting down bounties and completing jobs, running through the terrain that feels totally beautiful, and even got a full makeover because this game was just too good, even though it didn't really need it. This is the original Xbox version, and I'll tell you what, it still looks great and plays really cool. The cutscenes are even funny too, and some of this ammo is just too inventive. You have some critters that you could lay down as traps, or you could just fire them straight up, or you could fire spiders to tie up people, but they bounce back pretty darn quick, so you have to suck them up to turn them in for more of a bounty. Yeah, this has a dead or alive system, so you're continuously running around sucking up bad guys, and you might collect some fire, so you have to lure some people away with a chipmunk ammo. Yeah, oh my god, there's so much going on here, and even running through the huge open world doesn't bog you down too much because you're like a dog guy. You can just jump on all fours and run super fast all the way through. But this hybrid game just had me thinking of another hybrid game. And of course, I'm talking about Red Steel 2 on the Nintendo Wii. This is one of the first Wii Motion Plus games. Heck, it even came bundled with one in an oversized box. What's the hybrid? Well, of course, you're a samurai that likes to hunt people down Wild West style with your guns. And switching back and forth between them is actually done quite easy. In a first-person shooter for the Wii, holy cow, does this ever control smooth. Now, you do have a big hub world, and you even have people trying to help you out along the way. There's tons of different action moves that you could do, jumping around, swinging your sword, and blowing out people's freaking kneecaps or just shooting their freaking face off. Red Steel 2 is so much better than the first game, which is completely forgettable in nearly every single way. Having the samurai feel added in there is something that it much needed. If this was just a regular first-person shooting experience, I don't think it would be nearly as good. So you have to use both in tandem in order to complete this epic experience. And also, the graphics are extremely well done. I love the cartoony art style and just the entire theme in general. It was also so interesting to see Nintendo back such a violent game. This is not something they're known for doing, and still something that they shy away from to this day. This, as well as every other game I talked about today, outside of Troy Aikman Football and Red Dead Revolvers, is certainly some games you have to add to your collection. Of course, that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching.
I better get out to that bridge, help that marshal get the road open. Keep the change.
For you, niño.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I had a great time making it, and it seems like the Wild West was such a great time period in order to set your video game in. Unfortunately, the Red Dead series seems to be so darn good, no one else wants to even have a try at it anymore, and I really wish more people would jump into it. So if you have your favorite cowboy game, I want you to let me know what it is down in the comments, and maybe I already have it, maybe I'm already playing it, and maybe I will give this one another try in the future. Or if you just have any ideas for me, please let me know. I'm making lists by the ton so I can continue doing this for a very long time. So until later, I will see you again, guys.
Thank you, Ned.